Someone asked me the other day to go over my experiences with supplementation, like my thoughts on what works and what doesn't work. And so I was going to do like a email about it, but I figured maybe a video, I'll put it on the thing just so everybody can kind of, take what they want to take from it. I'm not obviously a science expert or anything like that, and I couldn't tell you why some things work or why they don't, other than what I would have read in a website or a book or a journal or something. So you can take anything I say with a grain of salt. And to add on to that, if you take something and you feel like it works for you, stay with it. I'm just telling you my experiences and what I've understood to work and not work. The first thing though I would say is, if you're not working out 4 times a week and you're not eating a proper diet, sticking to some of the guidelines we have, like there's a video I put up, a while ago about 5 rules, Ion's 5 rules for eating. If you're not sticking to something like that, I would say don't even worry about supplementation. You should be able to get most of your nutrients. You shouldn't need any supplementation technically if you're eating right. So, and I'll go into that a little more as we're going through this. But so if you're not there yet, if you're not working out 4 times a week, and you're not eating, if you're not willing to change the way you eat and start eating something more balanced and healthy, then don't worry about supplementation right now. That's down the road for you. Let's see. So the most effective ones are the ones that I would recommend to people. I would start with protein. Now, the thing about protein is it would only be used if you're short. So the recommendation for most people is 1 gram per pound of body weight a day. So if I weigh 170 pounds, I'm going to take 170 grams of protein a day. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb for everybody. So the only reason you would supplement protein is if you were short, if you came up short anytime, during the on the day. Types of protein, there's all kinds. Whey is the most popular. Everybody likes that or goes with that for the most part. It's the most abundant and probably the least expensive any of the proteins, other than I think you can get egg for pretty cheap, but it tastes like shit, to be honest. So whey protein, there's the soy if you're like a vegan or something, and I don't have a ton of experience with that. I hear for guys it's probably not the best thing because it raises estrogen, so that's not really beneficial to someone trying to get gain lean muscle mass. The thing about whey proteins too, this is something I've heard. I don't know if it's urban legend, but it's probably true. There's 3 major companies that produce mass amounts of whey protein. Those companies sell them off to all the little companies that add their own ingredients to it. So like Progenics, Arnold's brand, I forgot the name of it, Muscle Tech, all these other brands. Basically, they buy from these big companies. They put a little extra thing in there, like Keratin D or whatever the hell I don't know what they put in there, but they're a little special component to make it proprietary for their company, and then they sell it off. So basically the point is, don't spend a ton of money on this stuff. They're all about the same. The little kickers here and there that some brands might have over the other is not worth paying double the price. Amazon has I think a 5-pound tub for around $35. That's pretty good if you don't like ordering, or if you don't want to wait, like you need it straight away. Costco has pretty a couple of different brands, Muscle Farm and Muscle Tech, I think, and those are around $40 for, I think it's 3 pounds. I don't remember. I haven't bought from there for a while. But anyway, the point is, don't spend a ton of money on whey protein. It's all about the same thing. So that's my recommendation. The next thing I feel is an effective supplement, fish oil. So the way I understand it, our balance of omega-3s to omega-6s got out of whack with our when farming became prevalent for man or whatever. So we used to eat a lot more of higher or omega 3s, and then with the advent of farming, all the because the animals we ate were eating off of different different than their normal diet, that the omega-6s rose, and so the balance got out of whack. So fish oil is supposed to help put those back into normal shape. To be honest, when I take it, I don't know if I notice any difference. I do, maybe, they say it's like a long-term thing. So, it helps with inflammation and also helps with prevent a lot of possible diseases and stuff like that. So, it's one of those things that you're not going to take it and you're going to be like, oh, I feel 1,000 times better. It's just one of those things you probably just need. And, and as far as brands go, Costco has good high quality fish oil, same with Amazon, all these things. I don't know if I would spend a ton of money on, because I don't know if the differences make that much difference. I've read there's a website that has them all listed, and there's this Nordic Essentials, I think, is like the highest purity. I mean, if you feel like it would make a difference, you can try them out, try different brands just to see. But to be honest, I haven't noticed much different between the brands. I do notice like the ones you get from like maybe like the grocery store seem to have a little more water or something in them, because you can tell if you put them on ice or in the refrigerator that they separate and there's water in there. But that's the only thing I've noticed. Yeah, I think that's it on the fish oil. The last one I'm going to cover that I think is effective is creatine. There's tons of studies that show that creatine actually works. So it's mainly effective for people that do weightlifting and stuff like that. So the science behind it would be you have a certain amount of creatine in your muscle at any time. So let's just say you're doing bench and you can get 10 reps. If you overload the amount of creatine, you're supposedly supposed to get, maybe you can get 13 or 14 at the same weight. It just gives the muscle a little more energy to push. You don't have to, they used to talk about loading, creatine loading. So you take like 25 grams for a week and then you just go down to a maintenance dose of 5 grams. They also talk about cycling it. The science says now that you don't have to do any of that. You can just, take your 5 grams a day. The Fit Aid that we got here has some creatine in it, probably a full dose, to be honest. You can buy the stuff you just scoop out, and I feel like it works. It's kind of iffy. It's one of those things you might not necessarily need, but I think of outside of the other two that I had mentioned, that it goes into it's a beneficial thing. So it actually is a performance enhancer outside of the other ones. Another one I know works for a fact is forgot what I was thinking. Pre-workout. Pre-workouts work, and the problem is it's super high caffeine, and to be honest, I use them sometimes if I'm like dragging ass in the middle of the day and I'm gonna do a workout, like I'll pop a little. There's these. It's just like a scooper, and you take 1 or 2 spoonfuls and you go to town, and it works. It gets you jumped up. Not necessarily in the long term. I don't know if it's the healthiest thing. So, if you're feeling like you want to try some out, there's some with 0 caffeine. There's some that are all natural out there. So maybe you want to check those out. I don't do it every day, but, here and there, once or twice a week. I don't know if that in the long term, if that's going to mess you up, but that's just my personal thing. Some that I've taken that I have not felt any effects from, I'll start off with, is BCAAs. A lot of there's a little science behind that BCAAs don't work at all, and then there's some anecdotal people have said that they feel like it works. I don't know. I used to take it. I didn't notice any difference. It's kind of expensive, so if you feel like that's I keep getting all these notices. If you feel like it works for you, then try it out, see what you think, and if it works for you, great. I didn't feel anything with it, and it's a very popular one. Everybody talks about taking your BCAAs before, after, and during workouts and stuff, but to be honest, I didn't notice anything. CBD is a new one. I've tried some of it. The non-THC I've taken. I haven't noticed much difference, to be honest. Even with, it says it's supposed to help with anxiety and help with sleeping and inflammation, all that stuff. I've taken 2 different brands. I haven't really noticed any difference. Maybe it's the quality. I don't know. It's probably more experimentation to be checked out on that. So that one, not 100% sure on, but that's another popular one that's out today. And, maybe try it for yourself and let me know what you think. If you find any brands that are good. Tumeric. So I took Tumeric for a while. I, thought I was doing something. When I stopped, I didn't notice any difference. So, that's kind of a big indicator to me that maybe it doesn't. Maybe it was just a placebo effect of me taking it and thinking that this should work. I should feel better, so it feels better. I don't know if there's a ton of science behind turmeric either. I know they say that reduces inflammation, all the things we worry about when you work out every day, like, especially as you get advanced in age, you worry about those things a little bit more. But to be honest, I don't know if I've noticed much difference in it. And I don't know if the science backs up anything. But again, try it. And if it works for you, great. If not, save your money. I think the last thing I'll cover is things that I've tried. I'm not sure if they do anything. Glucosamine, it's supposed to help cartilage and joint health. I took it for a while. I don't know if I noticed any difference. That one, though, does have a little science. There's a couple studies that have purportedly said that it does do what it says it does. Helps rebuild cartilage and helps the joint health. So, again, I'm not taking it currently. I did take it. I don't notice any difference when I stopped taking it. So that's kind of like, I don't know. You got to try it for yourself. The last thing I'll cover is, so the most effective supplements there are illegal. We know for a fact testosterone, steroids, whatever you want to call it, work. They anybody who takes them, it doesn't not work for anybody. So those are super effective. Obviously they're illegal. I've never taken them. You can look at me and tell that I've never taken them. Am I opposed to it? Do I think it's wrong that people do it? I don't think so. The problem with all these drugs like that, like, I think what people do personally anyway is like their own business. But also to go along with that is, a little bit of the medicine helps. So, for example, a guy who takes 200, let's just say 1,000 units makes you look like a steroid freak bodybuilder, like the guys that are out there today, that just look crazy, right? If they're taking 1,000 and a guy, like a normal guy, just takes 100 just to feel a little better, put a little pep in his step, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't consider that abuse. It's like having 2 or 3 beers on a Friday night. Now, a guy who takes an 18-pack every night, he's got a problem. Same with the steroids. Guy who's taking 500 times the recommended, dose to get his levels super high, then, I think it's that's obviously not good. Not good for your health. Yeah, so effective. Another one that they banned a couple years ago was ephedrine. That one was super effective. It was a fat loss one. So again, what happened was it was sold on the market, hydroxycut. People were taking it. The recommended dosage, I think, was 2 pills for the whole day. I remember I would take it when I was in the Navy just to be able to, stay up for longer periods of time. And I would take one, and I was just like, I was good to go. I probably could have took a half if they made them that way, but they didn't. So super effective. But what happened was people started abusing it. These ladies that were super overweight, they would take 5, 10, 15 of them a day, and they would lose weight, and then they'd have heart attacks, and people were dying left and right because they would abuse it. Just like everything, it just gets abused, and it becomes a problem. So recap, no supplements unless you're working out and trying to eat right. There's only a few that actually really work, but do the investigation for yourself. I just try to touch on some of the popular ones, and give you heads up on what I think has worked for me. And then you just know that the most of the things that they're trying to sell on magazines or even like websites that a lot of the websites are pushing these. Oh, these if you don't take these types of pills, you're probably gonna die. Your health's gonna suffer. It's usually not that serious. We came from cavemen, and the diet that we had was adequate back then. We can find something along those lines as far as a diet goes, or if we get back to something along those lines, we'll be fine. And if you're missing something here and there, there's no problem to add it in, but that's after you've already dialed in your diet. No benefit to doing it outside of that. That's all. Thanks.